the more interesting issue is in November, there'll be a measure on the ballot to legalize marijuana.
Right. Why?
Well, number one, I think that marijuana prohibition is a demonstrated failure at this point, no different than alcohol prohibition was through the 1920s. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think there's a good argument to be made that the prohibition on marijuana has made it cooler for kids, precisely because it's illegal and yet is so rarely observed, including by adults.
Right.
I think it's time to sort of all get out of this collective denial we're in. And the fact is that not everywhere in California, but in lots of places in California, it's winked at. The only people who aren't at parties where there's pot being smoked are people like me who are elected officials, or people who have to leave. They
Right.
see somebody is like in the backyard smoking a joint. You got to make an excuse and go.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
It's people in law enforcement.
Did this
who
happen
can't be
recently?
there. No, it didn't. But I'm just giving the
I know,
example
I'm teasing you.
because I think we all know that it's widespread. It encourages disregard for the law. So there's all of that. But that's not my main reason. My main reason is recent federal data shows that 60% of the revenue taken in by these sociopathic drug gangs that are operating both south of the border and over our border, 60% of the revenue is marijuana. And I don't understand why we would continue to hand large bags of cash to people who are buying sophisticated weaponry to fight our law enforcement guys and women.
Right.
I don't understand why we would give them that easy money that allows them then to also market much harder, more dangerous and catastrophic drugs. And I don't understand why we would allow that to happen in such a way that it becomes exposed to young people who could abuse marijuana.
So
It's like anything else,
Right.
Annie, right? I mean, it's like alcohol.
Right.
It can be abused.
Right. So what do you say to those critics that would charge the market wouldn't go away even if it was legalized?
Do you see a lot of people selling moonshine?
No.
Okay, so the market will go away.
Right.
Nobody is going to go and perform an illegal, unlicensed act on a street corner with a guy who they may find dangerous when they can buy marijuana in a licensed facility that's been licensed by the well-lit in a regular place of commercial operation.
Will it lead to a decrease in drug crimes in Oakland? That's an appreciable decrease?
I believe it will. I don't think we know because we haven't done it.
Right.
But
we haven't had a test case.
There isn't a test case anywhere in the country. What I can say is that you had last year in California 60,000 arrests for possession of marijuana. I'm not talking here about dealing, possession, 60,000 arrests. That's a lot of time and effort that could be, and in my opinion, should be used in dealing with serious and violent crime.
Hey, John, while we're at it, I want to thank you very much, first of all, because it was your idea that I file a FOIA. And it was a good one.
Freedom of Information Act.
That's right.
First, yeah.
And you responded to it quite well.
We always do. I mean, our office, look, we're the office that is supposed to guard transparency for the public.
Right.
We try to do the best we can in working with a lot of the bureaucracy here and getting information out to the public. I just got a Freedom of Information Act request from KTVU this morning, extensive, asking for my personal calendar, for all the expenses, etc. Because they're looking, because it's budget time, and that's what the press should do. They should be looking to make sure.
But your personal calendar?
Well, not my personal calendar. My city calendar. My personal calendar is my personal calendar. But and we're going to produce it all.
Nice.
We just I think people are entitled to see what we do and how we spend our time on their dime.
Now, in my case, it was because I'm specifically interested in the status of stadiums and in Oakland over the last 2 years. So I want to go off on that, but that's in fact, I don't have an issue. I just want to find out how we've been doing things because I have contacts with sports people.
Yep.
Now, Oscar Grant trial's coming up. Pre-trial hearings are already going on. What are your thoughts?
Well, the officer who's being defended, the officer who is being accused, rather, is being defended by some very sophisticated and aggressive defense lawyers.
Who are they?
It's Mike Raines, who was the lawyer for Barry Bonds.
Right.
and has been a lawyer for many police officers around the state. There is a tendency to, Mike's style is to try to politicize every trial.
Yeah, he's very combative.
He's very combative, and it will often work with a jury. You throw enough mud around and a jury can get confused, and it's hard to find beyond a reasonable doubt. The other thing about the trial is the district attorney has charged the officer with murder. That is, remember now, you got beyond a reasonable doubt is the standard of proof, and it's murder, not manslaughter. So with murder, you have to show intent. By the way, and I think the DA's right, but that's a tough trial.
Now,
that's a tough case.
How is it going to impact you? Not you personally, but your office.
I don't think,
since you represent the city of Oakland.
Honestly, it doesn't impact us because he's a BART cop. He's not an Oakland cop.
Right.
So we don't run the BART police. I mean, the connection Oakland has to this trial is that the killing took place at a BART station that happened to be in Oakland, in Fruitvale. But Mr. Grant's not an Oakland resident, or wasn't an Oakland resident. The officer's not a resident of Oakland. Right. The police force is not an Oakland police force, has no connection to the Oakland police force whatsoever. So we're just really, and so the fact that the Alameda County courts were in Oakland was part of why the disturbances took place here in Oakland.
Now, even with the trial outcome, there's talk that there still may be something here and in LA if it doesn't turn out so.
Well, that's, that people are going to protest how they're going to protest. I mean, people are, the fact that folks are already talking about it shows, as I said when we had the original disturbances out here, that you've got people who are looking for an excuse sometimes to riot. Now, that is in no way should belittle those people who are out there who are genuinely concerned and upset about inappropriate use of force by police. There are people who are, most of the people who are out there are truly concerned. But you and I both know, looking at the video of what happened here earlier, that you had a lot of knuckleheads coming over from San Francisco, anarchists and people who just want an excuse to act out and think they can get away with it in Oakland. And that's unfortunate, and the burden that the city bears.
I got to ask you this because you are, in my biased opinion, the only city attorney in Oakland history that really gets sports. And the business of sports. I'm just being honest, okay? Warriors, where are we with them in the sale?
Well, they're apparently winnowing down their list of potential suitors. I know probably as much as you know from what I read in the papers.
No one's called you?
No one's called me yet about it, and really this is going to be a joint powers authority issue. I don't think it makes a lot of difference to us insofar as the contract is what the contract is. And so there's been a lot of speculation about someone buying the Warriors and moving them to San Francisco. And if someone were to do that, they would be in a position of having to pay off the rest of the bonds that we floated in order to rehab the arena.
Ooh, begs the question. We've been talking about the A's a lot. Where are we with the A's in Major League Baseball?
In limbo.
They were supposed to have come out with that report.
They were supposed to have come out with something back in January. We're still in limbo.
Wow.
And why that is, I don't know. Maybe they're waiting to see what the appetite of the public in California is for deals like this. Maybe they're waiting to see what Santa Clara does on the 49ers stadium.
Maybe they wake up to the fact the economy out here really sucks.
Maybe they're looking at, Major League Baseball is looking at the decline in attendance throughout baseball. Maybe this doesn't seem like the right time to try to make an argument that Oakland is unusually lagging in attendance. There's lots
even
of
baseball
reasons.
ratings are down.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons for that. I mean, there's just been years of disaffection of people for baseball. I think there's a real underestimation when you listen to sports radio, which I do, and there's always like two sides of the story. That, well, there's those guys who say it's wrong to dope up and take steroids, and then the other folks who say, well, if everyone's doing it, you got to do it to compete. That is not a reflection of how the public at large feels about the steroid issue, where I think a lot of people have just kind of said, now you screwed up the stats. The game was all about history and statistics, and now you've messed with the statistics.
What about the argument that, wait, home runs built AT&T Park. Huh? And in fact, home runs fueled the franchise value boom during the 90s.
Absolutely.
That was
did.
steroid fuel.
That's absolutely right. More people came out, and the argument is that people aren't coming out now because there aren't so many home runs.
Right.
It's definitely an argument. All I can tell you is long term, and I can only say this based on kids. 'Cause
And I know you're a
kids.
hardcore baseball fan.
I'm a hardcore baseball fan, but I'm like an old school baseball
Yeah.
fan. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying to get used to the DH. So, you know,
That's designated hitter for you guys, don't.
all I can say is my sons, who were tremendous baseball fans when they were younger, are definitely not as interested in baseball as they were.
Now
because
they're World Cup now. Look at
They're
their
totally into World Cup.
Yeah.
Their attitude is too many cheaters.
Interesting.
And you know, there's nothing as moralistic as a boy before puberty, and then afterwards, nothing.
God, where did they get that from, John?
Yeah, well, they're very, very upset with the idea that guys were taking steroids,
Yeah.
and that's all come
Who are
out.
they rooting for the World Cup?
They're rooting for Italy, but they know that Italy's probably not going to win. They're rooting for England, Italy, and the U.S.
So about UK versus US.
We're having a family squabble over that because they're probably going to root for England based on the fact that most of the players they love are playing for England. We're a big Chelsea family, so
Yeah,
you've
and their
got
grandmother, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. Their grandmother's English, so that's really a debate because I'm inclined to root for the U.S. Although if the U.S. plays the same game they played 4 years ago, it'll be hard to root for them. The U.S. was really boring 4 years ago. It was a boring game. My personal pick for the World Cup is Spain. I just think it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Spain. They are good.
Yeah. I am going to pick. I don't want to say it yet.
Well, you got to say it before they start the games. If
England.
Not, you pick England. You know, it would
I can't go against the US. That's the hard thing.
It's
though.
hard to go.
Like, that's why I was like, kind of like,
but we're talking about not who you're rooting for. We're talking about who you pick.
I think England's going to win.
I'm not rooting for Spain.
I think England's going to win. I'm not like
England,
you know.
yeah. Well, England hasn't won since '66, and there's good argument that England sort of created the modern game.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see England win. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be Spain or Argentina. Be curious to see what happens with Brazil because they've undergone a philosophy shift.
Wait, you got your bracket?
I do not have my bracket up, but I'm taping 25 of the qualifier games, or I should say of the group stage.
Oh, and in
games.
closing, iPhone, right?
iPhone.
You like?
Love.
Yeah.
Great piece of machinery. Wish the network were better.
Aha. Hey, thanks, John.